everyone, and welcome to this panel on feeding the future breakthroughs in food quality. I am Natalia Valle. I'm going to be your moderator today. And I am CEO and co-founder of Plant on Demand, which is a SaaS platform that helps organic farmers to be more competitive and reach the market. So as you can imagine, I'm really excited about today's conversation. In the next 30 minutes, we will explore the latest advancements and strategies on how to enhance food quality, sustainability, and the nutritional value. As we navigate through the discussion, we will find innovative approaches that not only answer the increasing consumer demands, but also tackle things like sustainability, resilience, alternative supply chains, or even health-related issues. But before I start with our really interesting speakers today, I would just like to give you a couple of figures that might position the conversation, or the importance of this conversation today. The global food system is responsible for about 26% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And agriculture alone stands for 18% of these emissions. And over 25% of world's arable land is degraded due to unsustainable agricultural practices. And this, of course, has a very strong impact on productivity, but also in the vulnerability that we have in climate change, and of course, in the loss of biodiversity we are suffering right now. So I'm thrilled to introduce our panel today. On my left, we have Alberto Jimenez San Mateo. He's the co-founder at Smile It. Alberto is a serial entrepreneur. He studied business administration in Madrid, and he was working in Microsoft Dublin when launching Smile It in 2015, the leading organic baby food in Southern Europe. And Eldad, he is the founder and the CEO at Tupu. He's an experienced entrepreneur, adept at scaling startups, guiding teams, and navigating company growth from inception to IPO. Formerly led product and tech teams at Delivery Hero and InFarm, and with over 9 years in the food tech. So please welcome. I would just like to start by having you explain what you do and why you do it in just a couple of minutes.
Cool. First of all, thank you very much for having us. I think to have a panel speaking about food is super important. It's saving money to the health system in the future, so everybody eats, so everybody understands food. Basically, Smile It, we launched the company 9 years ago already. We do baby food with organic and with clean label, not add sugar at all. We have different categories. In 9 years, at the moment we are in Spain, second in market share in the total category. We have more than 45 SKUs. We are in 6 different countries, and we have our own factory that is something different as well from a startup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very, very glad to be here, thank you. So I'm Eldad, I'm the co-founder of Tupu. I've been working in food over like 9-10 years already. Being in the industry, seeing all of the flaws and all of the issues that we had there, made me think there must be a better way to produce food. And I do think there's one great solution to feed the cities of tomorrow, which is mushrooms. I'm personally obsessed. At Tupu, we are developing a new technology that allows us to cultivate more mushrooms in less space, but keep the production local. It's a tech-enabling platform that combines automation, AI, and bioscience. We have our farm in Berlin. We are operating on a regional level, working mainly with retailers, wholesalers, and very soon to expand to also other regions. And yeah, we'll definitely share more later about why mushrooms, because definitely this is the crop of the future.
Thank you very much. So how is your company helping feed the future?
In our case, we have the mission, like 9 years ago, is the same mission that we have at the moment. Is we think that a baby shouldn't have a porridge with chocolate flavor or with biscuits. He's 6 months old. I mean, he's just breathing and that's it, and having fun. So I think the baby food category, they have playing with different flavors and with different stuff that, in our opinion, it should be more simple. So basically what we have done is to do it as you do it at home. If you want chicken with vegetable chicken with rice. That's it. You don't need to add anything else. So basically, that's our approach. That's, for example, with cereal, that we have a range for kids, not just for babies, cereal breakfast. Of course, we don't add any kind of sugar, but our nutritional value is 3 grams of sugar versus 30, 35 grams of sugar that is as average in the category. So it's possible to do it. Of course, it's more expensive to do it, but there are a lot of people asking for that, and Smile is in the market for that people, and hopefully more and more people, they are willing to pay for that.
It's so interesting to see how sometimes innovation means to go back a few years, like 100 years, and feed ourselves as we used to do, as our grandmas used to do as well.
As we say, back to the roots.
Back to the roots.
Pun intended. We are developing actually a system that allows more a resilient supply chain, meaning we develop a system where we can feed the cities of tomorrow with more nutritious and sustainable products. When I go to my supermarket, some of the mushrooms are coming from China or South Korea. It's 7,000 kilometers from the farm till the table. So it's not only loss in nutritional values, it's also a loss in flavor and texture, meaning we are losing a lot. And inevitably, we need to move to more regional and local food production. And what we are doing at Tupu is to bring us back to the roots. In the case of the mushrooms, is bring us back to the mycelium, and make sure that we can feed communities with sustainable yet affordable products.
Very interesting. You were mentioning supply chains. This is a big topic, right? So I want to touch upon a bit this issue, the supply chains. How should we build our supply chains, and why resilient supply chains are important to feed the future?
I think it has been super tough last 2 years in terms of supply chain with the COVID, with the different wars and everything. So for the people who are buying raw material, like it's our case, it has been super tough. In our opinion, what we have learned is long partnership with the suppliers. Maybe it's better to pay a little bit more, not thinking just about negotiating, because the raw material in our case is key for our product. And it's something when you go to the supermarket, you don't even know what is the raw material inside of a product. Like you don't even think about that, because you think like if the flavor is okay, but the raw material is key. So the raw material, the brand should spend money in the raw material. So in our case, it's long partnership with our partner in terms of suppliers. Don't think just about the money. And in our case, it was the game changer to buy our own factory, to produce ourselves. That's true that it was the right moment because we have the right volume to do it. And for us, it has been, I know that a startup who we have been doing fundraising and everything, we shouldn't supposed to build our own factory, but we really want to build a business. It's not just a startup. So we need to think about margin, we need to think about the EBITDA, and a factory, it gives a lot of things that maybe is not that obvious, but in terms of innovation, in terms of flexibility, in terms of control, so it's what we are doing basically.
Very interesting.
Yeah, indeed, the supply chain or resilient supply chain is something that we should take care of. As you mentioned, COVID, wars in Ukraine, the Middle East, all of that creates increasing prices and lack of produce. Many friends of mine in the UK, sometimes UK is an island with a low self-sufficiency. Tell me there's no produce in the supermarket. And we are really impacted by all of the global trends. Now, COVID let's say wars, it's one thing. Climate change is the big thing. And in the face of climate change, we have to move to regional food production. In that case, how we envision it is that instead of trading in products, meaning shipping products all over the world, we should trade in systems. We should move system from one place to another in order to produce locally. Now, if we try to envision it in a very visionary place, a city should be a self-reliant city. A city should be a place that we take waste, like leftovers of coffee grounds, beer residues, every waste that the city is generating, we should convert that into raw materials, and from those raw materials feed people, feed communities with local distribution. Now, from the waste that the people are generating, we can close the feedback loop, we can close the circularity, and either create more food or use that as other raw materials as a byproduct. And by closing this loop, we can really create more resilient supply chains. Inevitably, we have to move to regional and local food production.
Definitely, yeah. And if we had these systems already in place, we would have a lot of problems in the past solved, like with COVID and with Ukraine, all these problems that we see.
It's not only lack of product and prices, it's also the distribution of food. So if we look at the food system, there's not that there's not enough food. The distribution of food is not correct. At the end, we are wasting so much food. We are wasting more than 30% of the food is produced. So I think by producing more locally, then we can also distribute the food more consciously.
Absolutely. So let's move on to food quality. Alberto, you were saying that you were producing organic baby food. Why do you choose organic?
We really believe in organic, and I'm not, of course, I'm not going to speak about the flavor, or I'm not going to speak about the nutritional value, because there are a lot of controversial, but I'm speaking about what is obvious, like you don't have pesticides, you don't have hormones, you don't have any chemical at all. So that's it. And especially for the babies, especially for the kids. So that's the reason why we are doing organic, and we really believe that it has a super huge impact in the health.
Yeah, indeed, organic is very controversial. Like every time that you read a research versus organic versus inorganic products, there's lots of opinions about that. But something that you cannot doubt is the impact on the environment. Using chemicals, using pesticides, using fertilizer, inorganic fertilizers, actually degrading our land. Already more than 90% of our land is degradable. So we are lacking space to grow. And due to this conventional farming, the use of fertilizers, pesticides, all of those chemicals are also killing the biodiversity. 70% of the biodiversity loss is because of food production. It's really, really sad. So we have to use organic products not only to complete this sustainable mission, but also to make sure that we can live on this planet. And by using also organic products, we have better quality of products, but also better life here. That will help us to also do this resilient supply chains if we are kind of connecting into the previous question.
So do you see a connection between food quality and also sustainability, organic production, or even local production? Do you see there is a link there?
Of course, quality is quite a big question, because it's quality about the food. Quality, in my case, baby food, we are always speaking about quality. But I know that for the people who are very into organic, we really believe that there are a lot of good things, like the nutritional value, like the vitamin C. But maybe for the people who go to the supermarket and buy, it's just the obvious thing. You don't have any kind of pesticide. The meat that we buy is organic. I have been in both places, and there is a huge difference. So this is, I think, maybe we should start with the basic, like to convince the people that organic is good for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we also see like a correlation between organic food and local production to better nutritional value and better quality of food. We did a lab analysis to see how our mushrooms perform compared to what you find in the supermarket on the point of sale in retailers. And we compared the king oyster mushrooms that comes from our farm, freshly harvested, organic, versus a traditional one that came from far away. We found that we have 3 times more vitamin D, 2 times more vitamin B1 and B6, and not to talk about antioxidants and different minerals, meaning there's lots of impact on what we consume, what we eat, if it's come locally and if it's organic, versus if it's come from far away and inorganic. So there's importance on, when we go to the supermarket, it's really important to choose the right product, because it's good for us in terms of what we need to consume.
Yeah. There is a lot of debate nowadays about alternative proteins and the impact of the meat production and dairy production in the ecosystems. Why do you choose mushrooms? Is it in any way connected to this topic?
You are open a Pandora box now, because I've been talking about mushrooms for ages. Let's start with the nutritional value. Mushrooms are superfood. Yeah? Mushrooms are full of antioxidants and fibers and vitamins, and they are a good source of protein. They are the perfect food all around. Mushrooms can help you to reduce cholesterol. Some mushrooms, like lion's mane, can prevent Alzheimer and dementia. So enhancing cognitive abilities. Some mushrooms, like reishi, a chicken tail, can help you with fight cancer. So there's so many applications about what mushroom can do. On top of that, they are low in calories, meaning they are really good food source. But if we look at about what mushroom consumes, the environmental impact is so low. If you think about how mushrooms grow, they grow in the forest. They grow in the dark. They don't need neither light nor water to grow. Unlike other plants, like Tuscany, they like sun and water, meaning the environmental impact of mushroom is so low and they are so nutritious, so it's a perfect food to feed the cities of tomorrow. Now, mushrooms are not only these fresh products that you find in the supermarket, they're also a great meat alternative. If we see how chefs are using our products, they use it as a vegan schnitzel, oyster schnitzel, as a lion's mane nuggets, or as a king oyster steak, meaning it's the center of the plate application. So we have a product that is highly nutritious, with a low environmental impact, to be precise, the lowest carbon emitting crop, and as well has so many applications and a great meat alternative. And if you compare mushrooms to meat, it's 10,000 less carbon emitting, more efficient in terms of space and energy consumption.
Wow, super.
And I can talk about mushrooms for ages, but I will stop here.
I found both of your companies really, really interesting, honestly. And I think they're going to be part of the solution for today's global crisis we're experiencing, right? In terms of climate change and biodiversity loss and health. But have you experienced, or are you experiencing any regulatory barriers into introducing your solution in the market, or even expanding your solution to other countries?
Here, especially in Spain, the organic certification is quite tough because it goes through comunidades autónomas, through region. So in each region, you have a public one, a private one. You can choose. If you have the factory in the south, like is in our case in Andalusia, but then the headquarters are in Madrid, you don't know where to go. So it should be easier, I think. We're speaking about organic. I think we should push. And nobody told me in 9 years why? There are some public one, private one. So that's one of the reasons. Then the other one is in terms of organic for Europe. Each country has different stuff. So if you are manufacturing in some country, if you are manufacturing the same product in some other countries, the ingredients they are different. So maybe in the European Union, we should speak all together, trying to get an agreement for all of us. So I think with these 2 points, it will be easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree about the organic certification. It's pretty challenging and lengthy, and I think it should be also like governments will promote more organic food and food production and give more subsidies for organic farmers, that's definitely. I can say at least that at our case, we are developing an alternative to the traditional farming. I see lots of subsidies and support from the governments for traditional farmers, but not for the innovative farmers or for the new solutions to come, which are way more sustainable and should be also sponsored or supported by the regulators. And if I'm looking not on the government side, but more for the investor side, I have the feeling that some investors invest in AI and software, but we cannot eat AI, and we cannot eat software, and we need to eat, and we have so many generations to feed that we need also to invest in solutions that will determine our future on this planet. And this is something that sometimes, I feel that the sector or the industry is lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. We see that a lot also with our farmers. Many of them have really interesting agroecology practices, but they are not certified because it's a bunch of documentation you have to fill, also pay. So yes, for sure, this problem is shared across whole Europe.
Yeah.
Just my last question. You are both impact-driven companies. We see that impact companies are growing year by year, but still we are not that many, unfortunately. Do you want to comment anything about how you see the future of impact-driven companies? Why do you choose to build such company with all the problems that you might face? Because we are at the beginning, we are the first movers, no?
I'm not a big fan of saying in public we have an impact companies, because when you say that this here in Spain, it's like, okay, you are a freelance, cook it at home, and we are a 20 million company, 2 million of EBITDA. So I'm not saying that it's big or small, but it's what it is. For Spain, there are not a lot of companies doing that turnover. We did fundraising, but not that much, to be honest. And we really believe that you can have a real and a huge impact, and to be profitable and to grow, hyper-grow, having investors. So I think, my opinion in terms of investor, when we started 2015, it was tough to get money. And now there are quite a lot of investors, VC focus on food in Europe, in Spain. So I think it's changing. They understand what we are doing. But to be honest, I think it should be more together. And the VCs, the investor, they should ask for what is the impact for every single company. Because we are getting money, we are hiring people. We are not a big fan of hiring people if then you are going to lay it off in 2 weeks' time or in 3 months. So it should be, we are a big company, and we are speaking about the 5 different pillars that you have. Is your employee, your supplier, your client. So it's something that every single company can have a real impact in the society, but we shouldn't be afraid to say that we have impact investor, and because I think maybe all together we need to change a little bit the vision of that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I think for us, impact is in the core, and if I'm looking at what unites the employees in our company, at least, is the mission to fix the broken food system. And also the partners that we have on board and the investors, they are also impact-driven. And I'm really glad to see that, as you said, 5-10 years ago, impact was not really such a big thing, and now it's becoming more and more in the center of our awareness. And I think that also the regulation should promote impact companies. Not as a greenwashing, which this is very common, unfortunately, but more from the core, from being really a company that cares about society and cares about the planet.
It's a pleasure listening to you about how you see impact companies and the core, right, the mission of the company, and how to accomplish it. We have 4 minutes left, so we have some room for questions. Anybody has a question for our speakers today? No? I saw that. Please say your name and where you come from.
Hi, my name is Santiago. I am from Chile. I just wanted to know your opinion about the future of protein made of insects, which at least in Chile is really
I personally find it amazing. I think insects are very low carbon emitting, and I think they have high protein content, so it's a definitely great solution. One of the biggest challenges that we are facing with insects is the consumer education or the consumer awareness. Not everyone is feeling comfortable to eat insects or like the flavor or the taste. I do think that we have a lot of research to do on using it as a B2B raw ingredient, meaning using the insects for other products. Personally, in our case, our spent substrate, once the mushroom's grown and we, instead of throwing away the substrate, the leftovers, we are doing research for insect feed, because it can be a really great solution to feed insects and to be as a kind of a byproduct for another industry, which is very interesting. We're doing research about it with the Berlin University. So I do agree it's kind of the future, but we are still lacking this consumer education to kind of break through.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, we have done some tests. There are some companies here in Spain super interesting that they are doing great things. But when we were speaking with our customer, that we speak with our customer before launching any product, the perception of the product was, whoa. So I think it needs time.
Well, I guess this is the end of our conversation today. I hope you found this discussion as interesting as I did. Please, a big round of applause for our speakers today.